actually, honestly, so those of you that don't know, I only have one kid. I could not homeschool more than one. So kudos to all of you that have more than one child, because I
Thank you, Kelly. Okay.
totally could not make that happen. Yeah, that looks like a phenomenal opportunity to put everything in one spot. Me, I'm not good at juggling all the pieces, and my child has a really good ability to sneak out of the house and go ride a snow machine or a four-wheeler or start a chainsaw or do any number of things outdoors when he's not supposed to, but I can usually hear it because it's always a motor. So that's the benefit of working at home. And my kid's very active outdoorsy, so sitting him in front of anything for very long is not helpful. And so he's in 8th grade, and so we've homeschooled here 6th, 7th, and 8th. And we literally just started when he entered 6th, just because we had several different trips planned in the fall, and we thought, well, since I'm on the school board, it probably wouldn't look real good if I had to pull my kid out for 7 weeks at a time and ask the school to give them a bye, you know. So I thought it would be best to try the homeschool process, and I learned the hard way. I loaded him up with like 6 different classes his first year, and he about died. And we found a nice niche here, but we did Alex math his first 2 years of middle school and did great, did really well with it. I found that he struggled a little bit trying to remember parts of his lessons from earlier weeks and months. And it really came down to, I said, well, where's your notes? Well, I don't write notes. I'm like, why don't you write notes? You have to write steps and problems. Well, I do it in my head. When I said, well, that's fine, but when you get the wrong answer, I don't know how to help you if I can't see your notes. I didn't care. So we kind of talked through it. He did really well, and we were very lucky to have Sarah Abbott do the math counts program for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And if any of you guys have 6th, 7th, or 8th graders, man, I don't know if she can be talked into doing it again another year, but it is an amazingly awesome program that gets kids together. It's just those 3 age levels, and the math counts program is based off Art of the Problem math curriculum. So that was how I learned about Art of the Problem, is because Sarah brought in all sorts of fun little math games, and never did I believe that I would walk into a room here with 10 middle school kids and they would all be laughing and joking and yelling out numbers and, well, no, I did it like this and I combined these numbers and then I divided by this. No, you can do it like this and do it like that. And they were all happy and joyful and talking about math. And I thought, wow, this woman is just amazing. And she is. Because she brought to them the Art of the Problem competition aspect. And it's really nice to know that they have curriculum underlying their competition program. And so when I was getting to the end of our pre-algebra last year in Alex, I started asking around just to say, hey, you know, does anyone have another idea? I really would like to go back to a book-based math concept, just so that he could have that opportunity to flip back in the book. And Sarah actually recommended to try Art of the Problem, but she said it's not for every child, and it's a fairly comprehensive math curricula, and my son can't spell his way out of a paper bag. He will never be the spelling bee champion, but dang, can that boy add and subtract and multiply and figure out math problems. And so he has done amazingly well. We started with the algebra Art of the Problem book this year, and when it came, I thought, wow, is this it? You know, it's just a little book like that big, and then there's little solutions book, and it's super basic and super simple, but every description on how to work through is extremely clear. And honestly, I feel cut out of my kid's math stuff now because he never asks for help. He is able to very easily follow the instruction and the steps, and it gets him to the answer. And I really enjoy the opportunity for him to be able to flip back, especially when he likes to do things in his head and doesn't want to write the notes himself. And he, as much as I try to force him to write out your steps, you know, and simplify and write every step, he just rolls his eyes and doesn't want to do it. So having a really detailed instruction on the how-to and every single step to a program or a project problem, I guess, all written down ahead of time, and then with practice questions right before the lesson, it's all right there and available. I definitely would like to see him spend more time on additional extra things that they do offer on the website, because it is a competition. They do offer the competition-based opportunity to take it further. They have a lot of different online games and communities, and you know, if you want to be involved in some sort of additional competition, whether it's, you know, with a group locally or other groups online, there's just lots of that opportunity. So any child, I mean, that just really eats up math and just is super analytical and can really work through problems. And it's such a challenging curriculum, and he's just doing phenomenal. And I'm a very, I don't like tests. Yeah, I bring him and he does all the maps and the beats and the whatever is required. But when it comes to curriculum, I don't like quizzes, and I don't like tests, and I don't like end of the year stuff, because I want him to master everything that he works on. So I don't like him to move forward unless he's mastered what he's working on currently. And I feel really strongly that our problem really helps encourage that. And it's just organized really well. So the building blocks are there for being able to do some advancement. So, yeah, I don't know what we'll do after this particular year. I haven't quite decided that yet, but, yeah, it sounds like there's quite a few other options out there, and it's good to know that Alex stops at pre-calc.
And if you decide to go back to Alex, what we did with the kids on that, looking back, we printed it.
You
When
did.
they give you the, you know,
Okay.
how to work the problem,
Yeah,
we would print that. And if they still couldn't get that, and it gives you the alternate,
Yeah.
we would print that.
good.
And they got to where they were keeping those in a notebook,
That's
and
a
we
good
kept them
idea.
from Kiana. And then when Tim
Yeah.
got up into that, go get your sister's notes.
That's a really good
And that way
idea.
they had their own
Yeah.
textbook, because yeah, we came into the same
Yeah.
thing where they were like, I don't
I
remember how to
remember
do
that.
this,
Yeah.
you know? But I liked the mastery thing, is why we've stuck with Alex, because they can't move forward if they don't master it.
Yeah, well, and I agree with that, but I always felt like, okay, they get 3 problems right, and then they consider that mastered. I was always a little uncomfortable
But it
with
comes
that.
back up on the test.
It does,
And
it
if
does.
you can't master it, then it goes back in your pie,
It
and you
does.
have to relearn
It
it
does.
again.
Yeah.
Until you can get it on
Yeah.
that test, and it's
And
there.
it's quick and fast, yeah.
So,
No, there's lots of benefits, but definitely, it's just a more comprehensive opportunity, and because they do have additional communities out there available through the Art of the Problem website. So I just encourage you guys to check it out. If kids like math, and there's lots of little games on there that keep them engaged.
it sounds like something Tim would like.
Yeah, it's
Since he's
So what grade is Caden in?
so he's in 8th.
Okay, and this is the first year you guys
It's the
have
first
been in?
year for Art of
Okay.
the Problem. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's been great, and he was the rural math counts champion this year. So.
Oh, wow.
And I feel terrible, he can't go to state this weekend because he chose hockey state. So what do you, I mean, the decision, you gotta let your kid.
I have an appointment.
It's all right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and when, you know, when your kids are excelling and they are doing well, you give them choice, and we're going to the state hockey tournament. I feel terrible, but, yeah, it's,
So you guys are gonna continue next year with?
yeah, yeah, we're kind of waiting to hear back on a couple different things. I am tired.
Oh, okay,
Next year's up in the air.
okay.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't more prepared here today. I
That
had
gives
some
us a
notes
glimpse on,
and some books. and
so it's
stuff,
not
but-
online, it's all paper.
Well, they have online as well. They have
But it's
lots of.
But you
options.
chose to
We
do
use
it.
the book.
Yeah.
And I love it. I would, yeah.
And if he needs any, like, I know that when my kids got to a math level that I couldn't help them, you know, I usually went to someone like Sarah Abbott. Do they have online resources like that, where if he doesn't get it, he can,
You know, I don't know because I'm pretty strong in math and so
oh,
up until now, I've been able to help them
Okay.
with most things. But, yeah, I know at some point it'll probably. It'll be
Surpass.
something other than me, so.
yeah, okay.
But,
Mhm.
all right, well,
Well,
sorry, I can bring
no,
more
that's fine.
specifics. but-
Yeah, thank you.
Anyways, all this awesome input from parents on things that they've used and insights and stuff, you know, especially like right after the school year, if you guys could figure out how to capture, if a parent is interested, you can catch them at just the right time, you know, hey, please give us some comments on the curriculum you've used for your kids in different age groups, that
Yeah.
would be, I think, super helpful.
Yeah.
Families.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very overwhelmed, I think, when I first walked in Mark's office, he's like, well, we have this and this and this, and then we have this and this, and then this, and I had this little mountain of books, and I'm just like, can you just pick one for me?
Yeah, and a lot of it is knowing the family themselves, you know,
Yeah.
because it's, you know, your personality, your strengths, and the way you're organized or unorganized, there's so many, so as, you know, being on the other side of recommending,
Yeah.
I made such big mistakes at the beginning of the year, recommending to some of these new families, I'm like, I'm sorry. Because I was thinking of, you know, what
Yeah.
I would love and what worked for my kids and myself and what my passions are, which, you know, they were not there, so,
Even from kid to kid.
yes.
Well, right, yeah,
Yes.
it sounds like, yeah, and my husband and I both have degrees in biology, and we love science, and my kid hates science. He could rebuild a engine by himself, I am confident, and he could figure it out right now at 14 years old. But darned if I could get him to finish a science experiment and enjoy it.
Yeah, my poor husband, none of my kids wanna do German or guitar.
He's like,
I keep, we still got a couple that could, like, no one, guitar, German, no.
But that gives me an idea, what you're saying is like, for me, more than recommending, if I could, like, if I have a new family asking for curriculum, I would think of the families I know and say, okay, you know what? Why don't you talk to this family, like a mentor,
Yeah.
and see what they think of their, you know, that might be also.
Well, I
another
think that's
career.
how, yeah, Mark told me to talk to Sarah about the art of the problem
Okay,
curriculum.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even know it existed, even though we've been through math counts for 10
Right,
years.
right.
I didn't know that they actually had their own. And
Well, that's what I did. I
So-
went through Linda Flam. Because,
Okay.
you know, she
She
had girls that
used-
were ahead, you know, when we homeschooled Sabrina, which is my 30-year-old, our choices were Calvert
yeah,
or whatever I chose. And
Right.
at that point in time, the homeschool department was very small here. And I walked in and I said, I will use a Becca.
Yeah.
And you cannot tell me anything else. I was their best person because they never paid for anything. I mean, because at that point in time, you couldn't use allotment for it. So we paid for everything, but it was all the video based. Every now and then they'd, you know, I'd turn in something for pens and paper or something like that. But other than that, I mean,
And you
the
learned as you
homeschool
went,
department
yeah.
got, you know, the allotment to use to fund the program, and, you know, we just kind of did our own thing, but I had no clue and I worked full time. So it's like, okay, here you go. This is what we're using.
Yeah.
And for that child, it worked. It would not have worked for.
And those
Keon.
are the kind of details that it would be really awesome, you know, to have a few sentences about each one that you chose. and it worked for a child because of this, and this, like the child is, has a sensory deficit disorder over here.
Or dyslexia and Alex.
Or
I mean, I've heard of
dyslexia,
Alex all these
right,
years
yep.
and I never would have put the 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, and her first curriculum that I worked with her on, was Go Phonics, which a program, I don't even know if it's still around, but it was a learn to read English all in one from kindergarten to 3rd grade. All in one, type program. And that's when I figured out, okay, this child has dyslexia. Because even the simple things she could not, it was painful to teach her to read.
Yeah, you're looking at it, you're like, how come you don't?
And
see
she
ABC?
just could not get it. And then we went out fishing and asked her what the depth was. And out of the 3 numbers, we must have got 10 different numbers.
Oh.
Every time she told us it was a different number, even though it was the same set of 3 numbers.
You're like, what? Well,
Yeah, well, and it's
Yeah.
funny because Mrs. McKenzie, before she left, did an extensive dyslexia test on her, and sure enough, it's like she is pretty dyslexic, and that's when it was like, okay, this is
Now we know.
making sense.
Yeah.
That's why I butt my head
Yeah.
trying to get her to do certain things that seemed very simple, and it could, and she has learned how to overcome her dyslexia and how to work with things, and I mean, with her college class.